So we got a parcel through today, our first pledged Kickstarter campaign. We don't normally give money to Kickstarter campaigns because of the whole is it going to happen kind of thing. But yeah, so what we got here is the Lord of Hellas first part. We ordered a 2-wave shipping. So this is only going to be half of the final pack that we spent on hard-earned monies on. Straight away from the box you can see it's all nicely branded. Created by Awaken Realms in Poland. It's basically shipped over and is now on my beautiful table. So if we just lift this box up like so, and straight away you'll notice we're greeted with a lovely backer note. I'm not going to read this out to you, but basically it just thanks me for pledging some money towards it. Because this has come from Kickstarter. This is the setup you get of the Kickstarter pledge version. So yeah, dear backer, on behalf of all the whole Awaken Realms team, I'd like to thank you for supporting this project. This project, if I remember correctly, was in the reach about 2 to 3 million-ish. And in fact, they've just finished another board game project called Nemesis, which they actually, as a little extra freebie, have given you a little piece from it, which is the Nemesis box here. And that itself is finished now, and that reached over £3 million. And what basically appealed me to this board game, I'm not really into board games that much, is the fact that it's got the mythology twist with a cyber look to it, which is what appeals to me straight away. So I will begin with the 2 freebies that you get with the Kickstarter version. So we've got their Siege Storm card game, which is a 2-player little card game in there. So I'm not going to show them all on camera, I'm just going to quickly show you the box. But there's a load of different sets of cards in there and a little rule book. And this is one of their most recent card games they've released, which is a very nice little addition. So I'll just put that to the side here for now. We've also got in here a little piece from the Nemesis board game, which you can also use in this, because they've included, if I remember correctly, some playing cards to actually allow it to work for the rules for this game. So you'll notice that straight away this piece has got a bit broken off. That's because basically this is 3D printed using a dust print technique. So instead of using PLA filament to build it up from bottom to top, this is actually printed using plastic fragments that are then crushed and solidified into the shape. So you get much finer details, but it also is a little bit more on the brittle side. But yeah, it's all been sun dropped painted, which is what this effect is, where it gives the illusion of shadow and depth to the model. So that's that little piece there. I will move all this out of the way as we go through this, so apologies for that. Also in here we have a little event card. So you have an event card which gives you the character information. I believe this event card is actually more for the Nemesis game, not necessarily for this one. But the other 2 cards are actually for this. So you have a special attack for this monster, which is deal 2 injuries. If hunt, this would end this way. Permanently lower chosen hero attribute by 1, and great region attack is to kill 2 hoplites. And if you basically defeat that monster, your reward is the Nemesis, which allows you to use a special march. So, and a little book here, which basically is a little poster to kind of indicate the Nemesis project. I'm not going to go through this much, but it has just finished on Kickstarter, and if you're interested you can look it up online in your own time. So what we got here obviously is we have the game itself and a terrain expansion. You may not necessarily get the terrain expansion. This is something that we chose because we wanted everything, so hence why it's in here. So we'll open the terrain expansion first because it's the smallest box. And straight away we're greeted with a very, very nicely presented plastic in tray with the little pieces all in there stored correctly, and they are already looking very, very nice and detailed. I'm just going to take this out. If I can, I'm going to have to be very cautious about this. I don't want to break them because they are going to be quite fragile. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the roof on first back on, just so I can tell you what's in there, because I can't actually remember the exact names of the contents. So in there is 14 cities, 8 temples, 1 Delphi oracle, and a Sparta. And this basically, you need a core box, which is what this is, in order for these to be used. But let's just take some of these pieces out and see if I can show them to the camera. I'm going to be quite careful because I want to try and pack this away quite clearly. But so here we have one of the little pieces here, and in there is where you'd put your warrior or hoplite figure. And when they occupy this tile, there's basically, they're given, I believe, a defensive buff or points are rewarded depending on the game mode that is chosen. So we've got 8 of those, and they're all again sun drop painted, so they've all got that slight shadowing effect to them. Here we have the larger piece, which is the Sparta tile, Sparta piece, which again very nicely detailed. And although it's only terrain pieces, that would be just to add to the board, they are in a highest quality production. So that is the terrain expansion. I don't think there's anything else in there, but I will open it up afterwards to check, because I don't want to kind of knock anything out. Yeah, so now onto the main piece. I'm just going to lift this box out first and then remove this cardboard shell out of the way. So that's there we go. And my assistant is just going to check the camera's still in the right position. Still good, yep. So here we have the core box. Now, I can't exactly remember what comes in the core box because there is so many expansions and rewards that was part of this campaign, and they kept adding so much to it. But all I know is there should be around 3 monument pieces in this set. So let's just lift the box up. There we go. So I took the lid straight away. You'll notice it's embossed and got a nice glow to it. Let's just take that out of the way. First thing we're greeted with is the board itself, which is a hard cardboard, high quality board actually. It folds out into a massive tile set. If I remember correctly, I believe I did 2 maps. So actually I think if I remember correctly, the other side has a different map variant to it. So there is 2 different, there is 2 different maps on this board, so you can play 2 different campaigns. So instead of having, so that's kept the production cost quite low. I'll just keep that to there. Next up we have is our cardboard pieces, because you can't do everything in plastic, otherwise it would be so expensive. But these are our hero tiles. This is how you keep track of your hero character and all their points are accounted for. So you'd put tokens and counters on these numbers here, and you'd have your abilities for that hero indicated here, which we can then tick off. And each character and hero has their own special rules to follow. And you got the full art on the back and a nice little indication of what their unit looks like on it. But these here are also the little temple pieces. So in the terrain expansion, the little 3D printed pieces in the core set are actually cardboard pieces. So that's we could, in theory, you could possibly not use these and use the terrain expansion ones instead. So that's Helen. Then we also have Achilles, and these are just your counter points, so your tokens. Again, all the artwork I'll link below to their Kickstarter campaign, so you can look at it on the page itself, because it's very hard to show on the camera like this. We have Hercules with some of the unique monster rules or unique event tokens there. And lastly we have is Perseus, the hero. Now there is some more heroes coming out in the next wave of shipping, but for now this is the ones we get with the core set. Just move it out of the way like so. And next up we have is some little, what looks like little cards around these. I don't quite remember what these are, so let's have a look see. I'm actually just going to rip this piece of support one there so we can get these out cleanly. So what these are is your monster and event cards, I believe. So we have the Persian invasion tray card there for monitoring events to do with the Persian wall set. We have our Minotaur Monster card, which tells you its unique features and abilities, and this is where you would put counters to knock things off. So Minotaur, Chimera, which it always have 3D, it always have models for them, which we'll get to in a sec. Hydra, a Cyclops, Cerberus, Medusa, Sphinx, and then here we have the Monument stack cards, I believe, where you find out the abilities and what it does by assembling the monuments. Because yes, there are quite large figures in here, which are called monuments, which basically give buffs and can also in some cases be a game winning or losing attribute. So just check if all these are the same or are these different things. Yeah, these are all the same, so these will be one for each player, because you can play this game from 1 to 4 players. But with the expansions coming out this year, you'll also be able to play, I believe, up to 5 players, because there is a 5th player expansion being added, which is the Atlantis one. That's out of the way. Next up we have is the campaign book. This is basically your rules and a bit of background story for each for some of the campaigns that are provided for you. So it's all nicely illustrated, printed on glossy, quite decent paper. And there's also a tutorial on how to fix bent or broken miniatures, because that is a possibility, because of the process that these go through. Yeah. Next up we have is the game manual. So this is your general rule sets, so what's in there, how the map works, how to play the game, just general as you'd expect for a manual, just the instructions, which are we have to go through with some depth, but yeah, that's a challenge for me and my partner to go through. And next up we have the pièce de résistance, the pieces. Now let's see how many of these have made it intact, because there is potential for these to break quite easily. So first up I'm going to get out is the Medusa Monster, which is really finely detailed. She's actually holding a little soldier in her tail, which you can just about see when you hold the model. Again, I can't show these really well on the camera, but on the campaign page you can see these in more detail on there. I'll just pop that there so you can have a look at it if you want to and pick it up. Next we have there is our Cerberus. Now all these monsters and creatures and cards have got a kind of ancient Greece mixed with cyberpunk look to them, so they are kind of all a bit techy. I chose the sun drop option, not the painted colour option, because I think they look at their best when they are not necessarily fully painted. Now here, straight here, we've got a model that's got a bit of a bent staff. That can be fixed by applying a warm water to reshape to make the plastic shape. So there's another one of the little creatures, little cat with a little person there. Can't remember the name of that one. Sphinx, I believe it is. Oh. Next up we have a little Chimera, which has... It sounds like you got cut off, or I'm missing some context. If you want, try asking the full question again. Yeah, we've just, sorry about that, we've just had the Alexa go off for some reason. So yeah, here we have is a little Chimera with 3 heads, one being a sort of snake, a goat and a lion. That's really fine detailed. Very careful with this one though, because its tail is a very obvious weak point. Next up we have is the Hydra, which is basically loads of snake-like robotic heads, which again very nicely detailed. All of these were hand painted for sun drop effect, so they weren't done, but those spray painted with a machine and then hand painted to add fun details. Next up is the avatar. The first piece they sort of revealed was the Minotaur, which is a robotically armed, Minotaur, obviously, as the myth implies. one of the more recent figures, a Cyclops with its massive robotic staff. Looks a little bit like a Tau from Warhammer, but it's very well sculpted, as always are. And now onto the 3 included core monuments. So we'll just take these out very carefully. I'm being cautious because I don't know how which rigid these will be. Now these do disassemble, so these are in parts. For example, here we have Zeus, and he does actually come away in the middle, so you can build him up. I'm not going to do that at the moment because I need to find out how that works. But I think actually, just very gently pull it out so it connects together. And over time, as you collect pieces in the game, you build them to assemble your monument, and you can put priests on them to add to the buff. And he has that's not his, but he has it is his. He has a sort of like lightning whip thing, such as on the box art. I'm just gonna very carefully see if I can figure out how that goes in with it, like so. So that is the Zeus monument assembled, which is about 12 centimeters ish. Next up we have is Hermes. This one's needs a bit of a reassembly at the bottom. There we go. So we have Hermes with his I think does he have a staff or not? No, I don't think this one does. This is Hermes. This is Hermes, one of the other monuments. Again, each of them will have their own buffs and rule sets for them. And next up we have is a Athena with her little javelin-like staff, which goes in like so. And again, highly detailed. Got a little shield with a little engine, which actually has little engines on, and yeah, very nice, very nice. In this little bag here, we have these are heroes. These are smaller, obviously, than the monuments and monsters because these are got to be movable around the space. And these are absolutely incredible how much detail I've got into such a tiny print. Bear in mind, these are 3D printed. These aren't injection molded as you would traditionally do with these sort of figures. So I think that's Achilles. Which one's that one? Yeah, Achilles. I think I'm getting the thumbs up from Lara, which is my partner. I'm not going to say the names because I'm probably going to get them wrong. But next up we have a little another hero with a little jetpack on his back with a shield, which is no. Which is apparently Perseus according to it is Perseus. Yeah, sorry. You can see a natural arc colour there. Then we have a brutish character, which is the Hercules model, which is again super detailed considering the size of these things. I just can't get over how well they've done with the sculpting on these. And the next up will be Helen. Now Helen has gone a little bit on the squiff, which is a sort of a little bit leaning to one side a bit. We're going to see if I can fix her, but I don't want to again break her because she's so delicate leg-wise. But again, very super detailed. The facial details are clear, you can see which the eyes are, what the mouths are, etc. But yeah, basically that's Helena. Now in these little bags here, you'll notice we have a huge amount of hoplites and priest figures, and each colour is representative to a hero. So each of these main characters has their own coloration and their own style to their units. So in fact the hoplites don't all look the same. The hoplites look different depending on which unit or hero you've chosen, which is a very nice little touch to it. Yeah, and they're not quite as detailed as the heroes, but they are still very detailed considering their size. And there is quite a lot of those. I'm not going to actually get those out because there's so many of them. I'm going to end up losing them potentially. In here we have our little bag of piece of counters and such. These rings you can fit below your heroes to indicate which army that hero is aligned to. So these slot in. These weren't, I believe, originally part of the game. These were added quite late in the campaign based on feedback, which is a good thing that Awakening Realms were good at. They would actually change things based on the feedback as the campaign was going on. In this little bag here we have a lot of stands for our temples, for the cardboard temples that was shown earlier. We have a bag. There doesn't seem to be anything in it, so I'm guessing that's just got thrown in by mistake. Always probably there to potentially keep things if you lose parts. We have a custom dice which has arrows and fire indicators on. Don't quite know what that does. Again, we need to read the rules first for that. And in here we have little counters that you put to indicate changes. In here we have little coloured tokens per each army. So again, you see the red, blue, green, and yellow colorations. And these are actually embossed with the logo of that god or hero. And these are not 3D printed. These are traditional injection mold plastic, but they're still very very nice. Now we get to the cards. So we have our kind of rule cards here. So this one here, for example, it says restrictive maneuver. So when you are the defender in a battle, your enemy can only place one combat card. So these are events. These are your event cards. So what's this one? These are your monster ability cards. So when these are pulled or used, the monster, one of these bigger pieces here, can activate its unique potential. Are they all that? Or I think there is different ones in here. Yeah, there was also traps in here and such. I'm not going to get all those out now. But again, these are printed on quite decent card, so they will sustain some use. And last up we have is our little artifacts, which you can collect across the map. And these again add rules and conditions that you can apply to your hero. So at the very top, for example, there's the Owl of Athena, which is a little robotic owl, which allows you to draw 2 combat cards, and you get to keep one of the 2 that you draw. So the combat cards will be in one of these lot as well. So yeah, that's the core box. I'm just going to move this out of the way. A little nice plastic insert. This was again, plastic insert was actually a last minute addition based on the amount of money they raised. I'm just going to try and move these back into shot a little bit more so we can try and show you exactly how much goodies you get within the core set, which is actually considerable amount considering how much it can cost to 3D print even a basic model. Just move, I'll put the little special one we got over there. So you've got your tokens, point counters, your dice and such. So that is Lords of Hellas, created by Awakening Realms, and fantastic quality. I actually was expecting the quality to be lower. I don't know why, but you just do because of the process. But they've done a fantastic job, and we can't wait to play. So, thank you.